We're back outside again! Yay! If it wasn't so hot, I'd do more videos out here more often. Hey guys, what's up? NGS back again, and I think this camera is kind of crooked. Yeah. So if it appears as an angle on the video, thumbs up for that. So, as a lot of you guys have probably seen, the new series that me and my friend Chad have started up on my channel, Neo Namor, I've really gotten back into the comic book, trend, you know. I did enjoy reading comic books back when I was a kid. I didn't really divulge into many other series. I didn't read as many series as the average comic fan would. I really just kept to Spider-Man and X-Men because those were the two that I really, grew up on. And I've started getting back into them. I've started reading more, and I've started branching off to reading more other series such as The Incredible Hulk, Punisher, Batman, and other such. I'm starting my way along the comic book trend, so I don't care if people say, oh, you're so late, you're not going to know anything about these stories that we've known for like 30, 40 years. Hey, if I haven't seen it, if I haven't read it, it's new to me, and as long as I enjoy it, that's the only thing that matters. So, like I said, I was a big fan of Spider-Man and X-Men. Now, for the sake of this video, we're going to keep to X-Men, and when the first two movies came out, the first two especially, I thought they were great movies, They were decent adaptations, but overall as movies, they were actually pretty damn good. I thought Bryan Singer, he was excellent director for those movies. He really took X-Men and he put it in a more realistic approach that he kept to the spirit. While he did screw up some things with character, personalities, and costumes and such, which I can forgive to some extent, he really captured the heart and the essence of X-Men in his first two movies, and I applaud him for that. And I thought they were great. And then we move on to X-Men 3. Brett Ratner takes the reins on this franchise, and honestly, X2 left us such a cliffhanger. We all knew the Phoenix Saga was coming. Literally, if you didn't, by the end of the movie, you're like, yeah. I mean, even I, who didn't even read the Phoenix Saga prior to seeing the first movie, I knew people saying Phoenix Saga, Phoenix Saga, Phoenix Saga at the end of the movie, so I'm like, Phoenix Saga. So really, the Phoenix Saga was one of the highlights of the entire X-Men franchise, one of the major arcs. And it was adapted so good in the comic that really the live-action movie could aim to be better. And what we got in X-Men 3 was more or less utter crap. While the movie itself stands as decent, the first two were really good as movies, they were good as adaptations. X3 was a decent movie, but it was a crap-ass adaptation. I mean, so many characters were fucked up royally. They were just defeated in every way, shape, or form, killing off characters for no reason, introducing characters for no reason. Why the hell was Angel there? He played a mindless role. I mean, Angel's a great character. I'm not gonna lie, in the comics, but in the movie, he's just there to spread his wings and fly like Kid Icarus. And the whole fucking up of the Phoenix Saga, she was never a split personality. The Phoenix Saga, I'm not going to get into that because we'll be here for a while, but she was never a split personality. Jean Grey wasn't schizophrenic, and she wasn't a gangster. She wasn't a thug, and the Morlocks were not gangbangers. They really weren't, and Spike wasn't Asian. Alright? And, oh, yeah, all the great stuff that came out from Halle Berry with Storm. Oh, so lovely. Wow, her hairstyle was so gorgeous. I just had to say that. But X-Men 3 really killed the franchise as a whole, and it made adapting more stories from the source really hard because they established such character in this way. So for movies that would go forward, those characters have to act like that. So if you have a major arc containing a major character, they'd have to change it up altogether because that character is not supposed to act like that. He's supposed to act like this how he was established in the film franchise. And X Origins Wolverine, while I did think it was better, in a sense, it was still crapped on. All of the stuff, it's just, I don't know what happened. They just really want to write their own crap for this stuff, There's a point to taking liberties with the characters, but when you do it like the last two X-Men films did, it's kind of a disgrace. I thought Origins was better, but it was still crap, overall. So now we move on to X-Men First Class, which is the 5th film in the 20th Century Fox film franchise, and overall, I was really looking forward to this because when I read the preface about a year ago, it was a story that explored the relationship between Charles Xavier and Eric Lehnsherr before they became Professor X and Magneto, before they went their own separate ways on their beliefs and their views on how humanity should handle the mutant, phenomenon. How humanity is going to deal with that. You know, Professor X wanted to go for a more peaceful way, Martin Luther King, and Magneto wanted to go more for a Malcolm X. Well, not really more Malcolm X, but for the sake of this video, MLK and Malcolm X. So they had their own separate ways of doing how they felt, and the movies did that good. So with this first one, it seemed interesting that they were going to go back and see them as they were young. And watching the trailer, I don't think they're going to fuck up the relationship between Professor X and Magneto. I think they're going to pull it off great, along with Beast. Beast looks like he's also going to be pulled off great. But as great as that sounds, them doing a story about them, an origin story, it's all fine because they're two of my favorite characters. My main problem with the movie is the potential of how good it can be. The reason why? Continuity. And continuity as it pertains to the X-Men franchise. Because this movie is still connected to the X-Men franchise as a whole. It isn't a reboot, it isn't a remake. It's still connected. And that's the number one thing that's going to kill this movie. The continuity that's going to arise. You see, because continuity has always been a problem in comic book films, because directors want to adapt every type of universe possible. They want to do Ultimate, they want to do Uncanny, which really, when you're doing that as the film series is progressing, that's a problem. It's better off to start it as a multi-thing, like they did with The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton. It was a multi-thing, it wasn't just one source. Introducing it when you've already established, like, don't do Uncanny and then go off and do Ultimate and then go off and do Astonishing. It just doesn't work at all. So the movie itself is limited on how good it can be because it's connected to the franchise. Think of the X-Men film franchise, the future movies, as a bubble. Nothing can ever burst that bubble and be exceptionally well. Nothing can really do that. It's always going to be mediocre to an extent. I don't want to go harsh on that because I still haven't seen the movie. But really, from the trailer, you can see that not only is this film bad because they have to keep in line to how the characters were established in X-Men 1, 2, 3, and Wolverine, why would they limit themselves even more by introducing characters who do not pertain to the time period of this movie, 1960s? Characters that weren't even born. It really doesn't make sense. Why is the Hellfire Club being introduced? The Hellfire Club played a big part in the Phoenix Saga. Why are they here? Why the hell is Havoc here? Havoc is Scott's younger brother. Why is he playing a part in this movie? And speaking of which, continuity up the ass in X-Men Origins Wolverine. Why was Cyclops making a mindless cameo? If Cyclops was really 15 years old, 16-year-old when Wolverine was out, he'd be 70 years old by the time the first X-Men movie came out. He'd be a little bit younger than Professor X, just to say the least. Maybe 50, whatever. So, really, oh shit, fucking B. I'm terrified of bees, sorry. So really, it's limited on how good this movie can be because not only are the characters that they have to keep in line with how they're going to act in the future movies, but they're introducing characters who really don't make sense in the time period. I don't know how that's going to work out, you guys. I'm still going to see the movie. I am interested in seeing this movie because it's taking place in the 1960s. This is a time period in the United States that really you did not know who to trust during the Cold War because it was an arms race. You know, everybody's vying for power, and mutants, you know, mutants, like, where do mutants fit into this? So it's going to be interesting to see the split between Magneto and Professor X, and they go their separate ways, the X-Men, the Brotherhood. But really, continuity. Man, it's very interesting to see how Bryan Singer pulls it off. Pulls it off great. You know, maybe this movie is the unsaid reboot that Bryan Singer wants to do. And honestly, until Marvel gets the rights back to X-Men from 20th Century Fox, I don't think we're going to see the X-Men in the Avengers type movie because it's gonna keep getting fucked up because Fox knows that anyone's gonna go and see X-Men just because it has the name X-Men. It's just like Call of Duty. Everybody's gonna buy Call of Duty. It's gonna sell because it has the name Call of Duty. Same thing with Twilight, same thing with Hannah Montana, same thing with Bieber. Has its name on it, they're gonna go see it. So the movie comes out in about a week or so. I'm gonna go see it. I'm gonna give you guys a review on it. I don't want to say it's gonna suck, but really, already it's got a lot of handicaps because continuity is a major factor in this. Maybe they really just want to go their own separate way and exist parallel to the comic. I really don't know how this is gonna turn out, you guys. So I want to hear what you guys think about X-Men First Class. It does seem interesting with like Beast and Magneto and such, but really, these characters, they're doing an X-Men 3 again. Too many characters. So I thank you guys for watching this video. I'm MGS signing out. Catch you guys later.